Hey Twisters, so for this video, let's rank all 32 NHL home jerseys ahead of the 2025-26 season. So we're just going to rank the home jerseys. We're not going to pay attention to the sponsors. That would be really lame. We're going to rank just the jersey itself, not the full uniform, because you collect jerseys, you don't collect uniforms so much, or at least I collect the jerseys. And we're only going to be ranking these as they kind of currently stand in the NHL, not so much a historical ranking, because the original 6 teams should probably be at the top no matter what. I'll talk about that a little bit more in this video, and also about halfway through, I'll talk about something that I'm helping raise funds for. It's an ice rink in Idaho. They need some help from the community and from outside the community if they want to continue their operations, so I'll tell you more about that roughly halfway through. And also let me know in the comments down below, besides what you think about my amazing rankings ahead, what other stuff should I rank on this channel before we get into the 2025-26 season? So let's get started with number 32. The first few jerseys here, I'm not a fan of, and the ones that come after it are okay. Everything else, though, I like quite a bit, so there aren't that many that I don't really care for. But this is one of them. And at 32, it's the Washington Capitals. We all know that they should have a different logo on the front of their jersey, whether that's the Weagle or the Screaming Eagle. It's also the design of this jersey. It's a relic of the Reebok Edge 1.0 era with the splotchy color blocking under the arms and along the sides. Never been a fan of that. And I understand the Capitals were wearing this jersey during the Stanley Cup run of 2018, so I understand they're not going to change it this year, but maybe once Ovechkin hangs them up, they decide to go in a different direction. All right, number 31, I've got the Predators. The Predators, I don't mind them wearing yellow at home, but the thing is that it's just a whole lot of yellow and not much else going on except at the ends of the jersey. There are some cool details. Let's not forget the guitar string pattern in the numbers, and also you've got the interior collar. It's got that those piano keys. But I was thinking that after 14 years of pretty much the same design, they try to find a way to mix things up, but I do give them points for wearing yellow, or Predators Gold as it's called. All right, now in 30th, this is probably going to be the first disagreement here. I've got the Devils. I have not been a fan of this jersey design since it came into the NHL at the start of the Adidas era in 2017. It's such a departure from what I thought was a more balanced look during the Stanley Cup years and further through the Reebok era. The logo, nothing wrong with that, but it's the crop shoulders, not such a fan of that. There's nothing going on at the bottom of the jersey except for like a thin black stripe. And then you've got these really thick bands on the arms, which I just think make things a little bit disproportionate here. Now we're going to get into sort of my okay jerseys. They're not offensive, but they're not exactly ones that I would go out of my way to collect. So we'll start in 29th. I've got the Tampa Bay Lightning. A lot of people say, hey, it's the Maple Leafs colors, it's the Red Wings template, and I'm not going to disagree with that. They do have shoulder logos. They do have some outlining to the numbers to make it different. But the thing with this Tampa jersey is that the design is too simple for that simplistic of a logo. The Lightning have had a lot of imaginative designs before. I'd rather see something like that than what we have here. 28th, I've got the Columbus Blue Jackets. For me, it's a lack of contrast here. I'm a big fan of having good contrasting colors, and with Columbus not having anything underneath the piping on the arm, if that were like all white on the bottom of it, at least that would stand out somewhat better. I do like the kit here with the name and number. I think that looks pretty solid. The logo is fine. I imagine it looks really good up close. I haven't seen it in person from a close distance. But of course, we're all going to talk about, hey, they have the cannon. Why wouldn't they put that on the front? Even so, I think that this design could be better. I do like that they have the cannon on the shoulders. Then we get to 27th. I've got the Vegas Golden Knights. I actually really like the body of this jersey, the torso of it and the shoulders. That all looks great. If they were able to execute a little bit better outside of that, this could be one of my favorite jerseys. But for me, it's the arms. The arms are just kind of wonky with that big block of white. I know it has the pattern inside of it, but I just think that looks kind of weird against this gray and gold color scheme. Even if the gray were just black, I would be a fan of that. And some people would say like, hey, this is too mustard looking. When you look up close, you've got that fleck, that sort of shimmer to the jersey, and it looks a lot better. 26th, I've got the Dallas Stars. Big fan of the Victory Green. The logo, there's nothing wrong with that. Have the Stars had better jerseys in the past? Sure they have. But this is not an offensive design. It's just not a very original design, just like Tampa Bay. Again, at least you have shoulder logos going on. They used to have the perforated numbers. Not too many teams doing that these days. One thing that sets this back, especially though, is the collar. You can't really see it too well in the team photo that I included here, but it's got that toilet seat collar design. I don't know why teams haven't all moved off of that yet, but Dallas is one that still has that going on, unfortunately. Now, this next set of jerseys for me is the good but not great tier. So these are overall solid designs. I actually have a couple of these in my collection, but I think there have been some better designs or ones that have been brought back in recent years that are better than the ones that we have here. So 25th, I've got the Hurricanes. Originally, what was an alternate jersey for them. There are some great elements with this. I like the shoulders being that charcoal gray with the stealthy looking shoulder patches, the heathering on the waist and on the sleeves with that heathered red. That looks good too. Name and number looks solid on this. I've never been a big fan of this logo. I understand why people like it. They like especially that North Carolina silhouette in between the two storm flags. That's cool. It's just that this thing is too tall for me. It doesn't look like a professional sports logo to me all that much. I know it's really particular, but when you're spending $180 on a blank jersey, if you're paying full price, then yeah, you want things to be executed a little bit better. Now to 24th, we've got the back-to-back defending champion Florida Panthers. I was a huge fan of this when this came out, but just like other jerseys here, my opinions have shifted over the years. The original leaping cap is pretty great. I used to not be as much of a fan of it, but I do like it now. But this is a good looking design for the most part. I do wish that the chest stripe would continue all the way around the jersey. There's only one team that does that with their home jersey. The numbers on the shoulder are at least something that's unique. I also like the patches that are on the arms as well and how they vary that depending on the home or away jersey, and also the captaincy and alternate captain. That's all like really cool detail there. It's a red jersey with some gold trim. Hey, that's unique in its own way. Now we get to 23rd. We've got the Philadelphia Flyers, and they've been wearing this. I think this is their third year wearing it. Always been a big fan of the Flyers logo personally, but with this one, I think that there are a couple things that could be adjusted a little bit better. I understand they're drawing on past eras with this. I don't mind the burnt orange. That's a nice way to break things up versus the more traffic cone orange that they used to wear. I'm not a huge fan of how much white there is on the arms overall, and I've never really been a fan of the arm design on this. It's kind of like what the Kings used to wear in the 1980s. But hey, you got to credit this for not being conventional. Plus, you got the plating for the name bar, so I'll give them some credit where it's due there. Hey, it wouldn't be so bad to add a couple of shoulder logos and come up with something different there. All right, now we go to 22. I've got the Seattle Kraken, and some of you might be thinking, whoa, this is way too low. But most of these jerseys I like quite a lot, and there's no exception to this one. I did collect it as soon as it became available. Good looking logo, unique color scheme. I guess the reason why it's probably not as high is because I wish that maybe there was a little bit more going on up top, whereas, you know, the middle of the sleeve, you got that big color blocking, and then there isn't really much above that except for those anchors on the shoulder, and they don't really take up all that much space. I know I'm just kind of splitting hairs there, but when you're paying, again, $180, you probably want something that reflects your design preferences even more. 21st, New York Islanders. This is a great looking color scheme with the royal blue and the orange. I think in this case, kind of like Seattle, it's more about like what happens at the elbow and downward with the sleeves. It's just a lot of color blocking there where you don't have much going on up top with the shoulders. Like I wish there were a couple of shoulder logos. That would be pretty nice. Not to mention a lot of people will point out that the collar looks really awkward with that orange piece. It's like wearing a medal. I couldn't agree anymore. But overall, this is still an attractive, polished looking jersey for the most part. All right, and then on to 20th, we've got the Vancouver Canucks. And if you've watched my logo rankings, you'll see that I'm not really a huge fan of the Orca. I don't know. It's just, I don't know if it's the shape of it or whatever, but I'm not saying that they have to change it unless they want to change it to the skate. This is an overall good looking jersey, unique color scheme with blue and green. You've got good looking shoulder logos with a stick and rink, of course, a nod to the original era of the Vancouver Canucks. It's pretty straightforward, but again, with that unique color combo, I think that it does enough to, set itself apart. And as soon as this jersey came out, back when they had the actual word mark above the Orca, this was actually like my favorite jersey in the NHL, not of my favorite team. All right, everybody, now we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to talk about something I'm helping raise funds for. This is a hockey association in my state of Idaho here. It's a small community. They don't have a ton of crazy corporate sponsors. They need the help from their community and outside the community as well. I was very fortunate to meet their director and assistant director on their board, and they're very passionate about growing the sport of hockey in this small community. So they're raising funds in particular to pay for an ice chiller. It's something that can run several $100,000. And with the help of a new ice chiller, they'll be able to have operations in the arena year round. So currently they have to close down during the summer. It's often 100 to 110 degrees outside there in Lewiston. And so kids need something to do when they can't go outside and run around. And so that's why they've been growing their hockey program out there for the past couple of decades. And it's very important that they're able to either buy or rent a new ice chiller. The one that they have right now is 37 years old and is constantly undergoing maintenance. So if you could please contribute any sort of amount, that would be amazing. Let me know down below if you end up donating. Just see the link in the pinned comment down below or the video description. That'll take you directly to their website. I'll continue shouting them out because, again, the sport of hockey, especially in my state of Idaho, does mean quite a lot to me, especially being able to introduce that to more kids, make equipment more affordable. And so their programs to do that are just magnificent. So anyway, see that link down in the pinned comment or the video description and help out Lewiston hockey. Thanks so much, and let's get back into our rankings. All right, now let's get to our great tier. This is like our A tier right here. And we start things off with the Detroit Red Wings at 19. Yeah, because I love all these hockey jerseys. Now, the Red Wings and a couple other older teams are down here, not because their jerseys aren't great. It's just that we've seen them so much, we're so familiar with them, that there are other newer designs or designs that have come back recently that are making that impact and having that luster on them. Whereas the Red Wings, we've seen this for, just about 100 years. This logo is my favorite in the NHL. I've said that before. And even though it's a very simple design for a jersey, the fact that you have a detailed logo makes things more balanced out that way. There's nothing wrong with this one. It's like, I never want them to change it. 18, very similar thing, Toronto Maple Leafs. This has been one of my favorite jerseys ever in the sport, in all of professional sports for that matter. I like this particular Maple Leaf design. I like blue more than red, so I've ranked the Leafs ahead of the Red Wings, although I like how there's at least 2 arm stripes here for Toronto. And there's really not all too much more to say about it because we know Toronto jerseys. But again, this is still one of the best ones that they've ever issued, in my opinion. All right, now to 17, we've got the Ottawa Senators. There are some really great things about this. I think that logo up close in a on-ice jersey must look really good. I haven't seen it so far yet. Black and red jersey, always pretty intimidating. Although, I think it was Justin in my Discord was saying, it'd be great if they would put more gold into the actual design outside of the logo itself. And I completely agree. That could really help set it apart from other red and black jerseys out there like Carolina and New Jersey and Chicago. But overall, this is well composed. I wish that the numbers on the arms would be actually above the stripes. There's another team that figured out how to do that well, and we'll talk about them later on. Now we get to 16, and I've got the Winnipeg Jets. This, at one point, was also one of my absolute favorites in the NHL. It's a very well-designed jersey. I always love some two-tone blue, or for the most part, I love that color scheme quite a bit. Although I do wish the aviator blue was a little bit lighter. I think that the contrast could be a bit better this way. I like the thick armbands. They're one of the few teams that does that for their primary. I like the wings for the shoulder logos. Those look sharp. And the typeface and the number kit, like that all looks great on this one. I've always been a fan of that. And the logo itself, I think on this jersey, it looks really good. It's just a nice balanced symmetrical jersey. Can't go wrong with that. Then we get to 15th. I've got the Buffalo Sabres, and this is a great looking jersey. I mean, we're about halfway through the rankings, but really these are such awesome jerseys. It's so good to see the Buffalo Sabres wearing royal blue instead of the navy blue that they used to wear. This was ranking a lot higher when they first reissued this, by the way. But overall, very solid. That logo itself, I imagine, looks wonderful up front. I'm sure I'll say that about other logos here as well. But there is some pretty cool detail in that bison. I do wish there was something going on with the shoulders. I guess that's probably my main knock. So the flaws of these other jerseys are so minor that, I mean, I would consider paying full price for most of these if I had the means to collect them in that fashion. Now in 14th, we've got my team, the San Jose Sharks. I do love this jersey, except for one thing. I wish that the striping on the arms and on the waist was inverted with the road jersey. I think that would look better here. And a lot of people think, hey, the Sharks, what is with all this teal? Hey, if you were to actually make the equipment black with this jersey, it's a really good look. I love the shoulder logos. That looks terrific. And of course the logo, don't change it. Don't go back to the old one. This is one of the best logos in sports. 13th, I've got the Avalanche. the way that they were able to tweak the design from the 1990s and the horrible Reebok Edge 1.0 phase, they did everything right for the most part. A lot of people will say, hey, the Yeti foot needs to be on the shoulder. I can understand that. I like the C myself. I like something that's a little bit more symmetrical in its design. The colors, I liked how they adjusted the blue over time, how they took out the black. I think the color scheme is a little bit more unique this way. I love the captain's letter and the alternate captain letter, and kind of like Detroit and another team that we're going to talk about, you've got that arched font on the back as well. It's such a fun jersey. I never collected this in Adidas, but hopefully one day I can make up for that. So we've got 12 jerseys left, and I actually broke this into 2 tiers. We've got the S tier. I think these jerseys are all terrific, but then we have the God tier ahead of them, and that's my top 5 jerseys. So in 12th, I've got the Canadiens, the most iconic sweater in all of hockey, and one of the most iconic jerseys in all of sports. The only reason why it's here, it's really because of that toilet seat collar that looks absolutely horrible. I miss the days of that ribbed red, white, and blue collar from, I don't know, the CCM era. Everything else about this jersey, though, is completely flawless, and I never want Montreal to change their jersey apart from this. 11th, I've got the Anaheim Ducks. The orange, it's a lot of orange on the uniform, but the jersey itself, I think it's pretty well balanced. You got that drop shadow for the font now, for the numbers. I don't know if I like that all that much. I think it might be a little bit too busy, but that aside, I like the other elements of this jersey. Having the duck foot on the shoulders, I think that's cool. It kind of honors the team that won the Stanley Cup back in 2007. I know they weren't wearing that on the front of the jersey, but that was still part of the branding. Of course, having the reworked Mighty Ducks logo looks awesome for 2025. I like the striping on this overall. Good color scheme, Orange County. Now we get into number 10. And I'm probably in the category of, I don't know, the 20% of people who really, really like this jersey, apart from Oilers fans themselves. Yeah, Edmonton's got a great home jersey. They have an even better away jersey, in my opinion. I love this color scheme. It works so well with this jersey design. You get the 3 simple stripes on the arm, 3 simple stripes on the waist. I would like to see what this would look like without the ends of the sleeves and without the shoulder yoke being orange, if they were just blue. I think that this could be better, but even so, I just think that it stands out enough, and yet it's a very familiar design. You got the circular logo. It's a good looking jersey. I especially like the way the numbers and the captain's letter are done. Now, I'm sure a lot of you clicked on this video thinking, all right, where do the Mammoth stack up against other teams in the NHL? I actually really like this look. This is in 9th. Is it going to stay here forever? Maybe it slides down. I'm not entirely sure. But as soon as the logo was unveiled, I thought to myself, whoa, that to me has got to be the best new logo that I've seen in the NHL in some time. To me, it's better than what Seattle did. It's better than what Vegas did. And I think both of those franchises did a really nice job with their branding. But Utah, I think, has knocked it out of the park with this mountainous mammoth, a familiar design with a great 2025 logo, and it's black. I know that that's kind of a cop-out, right? It's like Utah black, foreboding. Nah, maybe not so much, but I am a sucker for this color scheme in general. So it looks great, and I can't wait to see this team on the ice. All right, now on to 8th. I got the Minnesota Wild, and this has always been a very top-tier jersey for me, starting with the Adidas era. A couple things that I don't really care for too much. One, I wish maybe there was a little bit more going on at the bottom of the jersey, maybe 2 of those cream stripes, but the fact that you have cream in the first place is awesome, right? And then you have that red stripe on the arms. It's not in the middle of the band. It's just something that always has looked kind of odd. Kind of like that red collar piece as well. And you don't have the chest stripe continuing around the back. But I love the forest green. I don't think Minnesota should change that as much as I like the subway look or the classic Kelly green and gold look from the North Stars. This logo, of course, to a lot of people, the best in the NHL, and I would say it's right up there with the Red Wings and another team we'll talk about. All right, so that was 8th. 7th, yeah, I'm a Sharks fan, but I absolutely love this LA Kings look. It looks magnificent. Not to mention, you've got that shimmer to the silver. That looks great. You got the chrome-looking crest on the front. Brings back a lot of nostalgia for people. But the overall composition, regardless, I think has been executed pretty flawlessly. I love how the Kings did this. The Senators, you need to take a page out of the Kings book and put the numbers above the elbow striping or elbow banding. It looks so much better here. Not a huge fan of the collar. I think that should just be all solid black and maybe have a couple shoulder logos. And then finishing things off with the S tier in 6th, I've got the New York Rangers, the drop shadow font, the arched names on the back, the classic hockey design. It's a great look. I've always really liked the Rangers jerseys. They're the only team that should ever have a word mark on the front of their jersey in the NHL for a home jersey. I can't really complain about anything except for maybe the collar piece with that red in there. That doesn't look very good. I love the road jerseys. I think they're even better. All right, so that means we're getting down to our final 5. This is the creme de la creme. This is the God tier. And kicking things off in 5th, I am so damn happy to see them take the ice like this. We've got the Boston Bruins. I wasn't such a fan of their jersey design for the past, previous 15, even more, going back to, like the early Joe Thornton era. This is more of the Happy Gilmore jersey, the look that they had going into the mid-1990s. I think that was when they changed things up. I love it. It looks great. I like the reworked crest on the front. I like the striping design more, and I especially like how up top it's not overly complex. I do wish they had 2 shoulder logos instead of just one. The Predators only have 1 shoulder logo. It looks kind of weird, but I don't mind that all too much. At least it's a cool design. Everything else looks really solid, and maybe this is the best home Boston Bruins jersey that I've ever seen. It's right up there. We'll see if the luster is still pretty shiny after a few years, but hey, this is exactly what I always hoped for with Boston. Then in 4th, I've got the Calgary Flames, and I've told people before, this is my favorite look in the NHL for home games. I don't know if it's still at the very, very top, but it hasn't gotten really any worse to me. It's just that great assertive color combination with the red and yellow. You've got the flaming sea, looks great in the white. Simple striping and banding, very, very traditional, classic, looks great, especially when they play the Oilers. Could they maybe have a couple blasties on the shoulder? Yeah, I wouldn't mind that all that much. Then in 3rd, I've got the Pittsburgh Penguins. I do have this jersey. Thank you so much, CJ. I have a Phil Kessel, and it's the black and yellow. That's maybe the best color combination in sports. It's right up there. I like how this jersey template is actually still fairly unique today. It kind of borrows from like the white Red Wings jersey with a little bit more striping. I like the color blocking on this overall. The logo looks terrific. It's a big logo. I've always really liked the Penguins logo. I can't really say much more about this. I just hope that Pittsburgh never deviates from this for home games. So that means we've only got 2 jerseys left. I don't know if I'd put them quite this high usually, but the Chicago Blackhawks did such a great job of making some adjustments for their 100th anniversary. I have to put it up here. To many, it's the best jersey in hockey. I can respect that, especially in this case, it looks terrific. This time, they're going with the laces. I don't know if they actually need that, but to kind of convey that nostalgia and a team that's been around for 100 years, I can see why they would do it. It just looks kind of weird with this Fanatics template borrowed over from Adidas. But the collar outside of that, they did a really good job executing that. No more white like they previously had. It's just red and black. I got no complaints about that. Keep it that way. Don't ever change that. I like the Centennial patch on the shoulder. And of course, they still kept the Tomahawk shoulder logos. Those are up there with the best in hockey. And I also really like the gold trim around the logo. I'm sure that for an on-ice jersey, that's going to shimmer. That's going to stand out quite a bit. It's a Blackhawks jersey. It's got to be still toward the top in my rankings. But for Hawks fans out there, now I'm going to kick you in the balls because I'm going to rank the Blues at number 1. And they're finally making this their home jersey. I am so happy. To me, this is right up there with my absolute favorite jerseys of all time. Like, this is in that category to me. It's timeless. Yes, it does borrow from the 2017 Winter Classic, which was an even better version of this with a stretchy collar and also the felt numbers. But even so, to see this on the ice again, I will never get tired of it on a full-time 41 home game basis. And I like this version of the Blue Note as well. I like how it's a little bit more angular. The other one was a bit rounded at parts. I didn't care for that quite as much. It still looked really good, but we've got this lighter shade of blue. We've got this original shape of it, and I think that it looks really good even for 2025. And as for the striping, the name, the numbers on this, I think it all just looks really sharp, balanced, really good contrast, and it's my favorite jersey in the NHL, and I think that it could easily stay at that top for for quite some time. But anyway, guys, what do you think of my rankings? Let me know in the comments, and let me know if you have other ideas, especially as we lead up to the start of this upcoming season. And don't forget, if you haven't already, click on that link in the pinned comment or the video description. Support Lewiston Youth Hockey. These people are tremendous. This is a very hardworking, modest community that could use a new facility, or at least a new chiller for the youth out there. And let's grow hockey in the gem state of Idaho, where I live. Anyway, Twisters, thanks so much. It's great to be back here, and I'm looking forward to interacting with a lot of you for the first time in a long time, and some new faces out there, of course. So please do leave a thumbs up and spread the word. Let's get Twisted Wrister Hockey back on the map, and have some banger videos for you guys lined up. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'm Nick. I'll catch you later.